The average person's lifespan has increased by 30 years over the last century. Consequently, there is growing attention to the quality of life as one gets older and to what the elderly have to teach us about aging.
How do you evaluate it? How do you describe it?
The research of psychologist Laura Carstensen looks at how emotions are experienced and processed in our later years.
Of my life, I feel that things are very much more in one piece that I get.
In recent years, in part while scientists were searching for some of the problems associated with aging, they discovered some surprises. College-age students are more likely to be lonely than the elderly. Specifically, older people experience less negative emotion, fewer negative emotions than younger people do.
Emotional problem solving and the ability to process complex emotions often improve with age. Carstensen has also found that cognitive agility in normal elderly adults does not necessarily decline.
People show the standard kind of age-related decline in their memory for neutral information, neutral stimuli, but not for the emotionally charged visual stimuli. In this case, older people's memory is just as good as younger people's memory. We have searched for age differences, and where we see them, we assume that there must be age decrements. That is, if older people differ in some way from younger people, we say there's something wrong. I think in the area of emotional development, we see much evidence for growth and improvement well into the later years of life.
Despite promising evidence that challenges the belief that getting older reduces the quality of life, fears of aging still persist. Perhaps the idea of aging threatens our illusion of eternal youth. You would think that the inevitable process of aging would elicit compassion and help from society, instead of indifference and hostility. This videotape documents some of the experiences of Pat Moore, a young reporter who transformed herself into an 85-year-old woman and wandered the streets of over 100 cities. She bound her legs to make walking difficult, taped her fingers to simulate arthritis, clouded her vision with contact lenses, and diminished her hearing with earplugs. She found it difficult to function in a world designed for the young and the fit. At one point, Moore was even attacked by adolescents.
Our elders are fair game, it would seem, for an aberrant faction of our society that believes they can take what they want. And someone who is encumbered with a slow pace or loss of dexterity, low vision, loss of strength, and might have some money in their pocketbook is a very easy mark. So to say that I learned something that I didn't expect would be difficult, but to say that I was surprised by the extent of ageism in our society would certainly be a very accurate statement. What is developing in our society with the controlling force of the baby boom cohort is an attitude of we can cure aging. It's this retin-A generation of saying, I'm sure I'll be able to buy something that'll fix it. I will never be like my grandmother.
The processes of biological aging that are genetically programmed are inevitable, but diet and exercise can retard the physical aspects of aging, and the psychological aspects can be greatly influenced by a variety of factors, including one's own expectations, one's sense of self-esteem and sense of personal control, as well as the ability to live independently or in a supportive communal setting. It may even be possible to modify some effects of aging with mental strategies designed to increase an individual's sense of optimism and self-worth. Research has shown that the elderly are not a psychologically fragile group as a whole. They are surprisingly hardy, given their physical changes, sources of stress, and society's negative stereotypes of aging. Older people as a group have also developed a more narrow focus on what it takes to be satisfied and happy with life. It's what we call selective optimization, making the most of what you have. For example, exercising carefully to avoid accidents and falls. and limiting social contacts to those most important to you. Irreversible psychological deterioration is the exception and not the rule of old age, especially when there is no severe physical illness. For instance, there is a decrease in emotional outbursts with age and a decrease in psychosomatic symptoms. And older adults seem to be better at getting the gist of a problem. Traditionally, this has come to be seen as the growth of wisdom with age. Even the most noticeable cognitive change in the aged, loss of memory, can be ameliorated with behavioral techniques. Though not as quick as their younger counterparts, the elderly do as well or better on vocabulary and general information memory tests. Sherry Willis of Pennsylvania State University has been developing new educational training methods which help the elderly function more effectively.
Many older adults are afraid of losing their mental abilities. They see a lot of publicity about senile dementia. They know that they're not in the kinds of jobs that demand the kind of mental exercise that they had before they retired.
Ruth, number 6.
We see some decline in their cognitive abilities or skills simply as a function of disuse, the use it or lose it kind of phenomena. We're familiar with that phenomenon in terms of physical well-being and exercise, but it seems to hold true for mental abilities too.
If you want to turn it around and take a look and see if you were coming from
One of the
8.
abilities we've been studying is what's called spatial ability, the ability to mentally visualize in one's mind, for example, in using a road map, whether one should turn left or right, go up a street or down a street. We developed a series of exercises that key in on that particular skill or ability. We found that with very short educational training, the performance of older adults on a variety of tasks related to their daily life can be significantly improved.